This video shows you, the investor, the key components of an institutional grade private credit model. I will use the keyboard and keep my use of the mouse to a minimum to show you keyboard shortcuts where applicable. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the like button as well. Let's get into the video. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video when it's posted. Share this video with friends and family, and leave a super thanks to help this channel grow. I'm going to open the private credit model from my file explorer. To do that, press Windows key 1. If you're looking to pull things from your file explorer, and then I'm just using the arrow keys, home key, end key, and enter to get to the model. Alt tab to get to the explorer. Alt F4 to close that. Okay, to briefly describe the color coding scheme for this model, blue values are hard-coded, black values are formulaic, and green values contain formulas that reference other tabs in the workbook. So this is an institutional grade private credit model, how it would be set up. And the formatting is similar to what an institution might do, like a private credit firm. I'm using dummy numbers that are hard-coded in for revenues, cost of goods sold, and we're analyzing a hypothetical company called the XYZ company, which is a distributor of widgets to the construction community. So you can see here the revenue is growing and cost of goods sold is growing as well, but not as fast, so they're somehow able to charge higher prices for their goods, which is really excellent. Steady growth in the gross profit. Subtract out the various expenses, selling, general, and administrative, depreciation and amortization, as well as any other OpEx, and you end up with EBIT, also known as operating income. EBIT stands for earnings before interest and tax, and you can see the formulas in the formula bar. It's just for cell Echo 9, or it's just equal to cell Echo 5 minus the sum of Echo 6 through Echo 8. Then I have expenses that are continuing, such as interest expense, other non-OpEx, as well as taxes. And once you subtract all that out, you get the bottom line, which is net income. And for this example, I am just saying that for the quarterly numbers, I'm just dividing by 4. You might decide in the real world to pull the quarterly financials from Capital IQ and then compare them to the SEC Edgar website to check for accuracy. But I'm just, for argument's sake, saying the quarterly numbers are equal to the annual numbers divided by 4. And then I have diluted earnings per share, net income divided by shares outstanding, which is in row 74. We'll get to that. Now for operating free cash flow, you start with EBIT, which we've already calculated. Recall that was calculated in Echo 9er. You start adding back these other expenses. Depreciation and amortization is added back since it's a non-cash expense. By adding the EBIT and the depreciation, you can get EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. And banks and other lenders that build these models often use EBITDA as a proxy for free cash flow. It's not a perfect estimate of free cash flow, but it's a good proxy. And then I'm just saying, for argument's sake, there were a few adjustments, and so we have an adjusted EBITDA number, which is just the sum of the EBITDA and the adjustments. Subtract out CapEx, and you're left with EBITDA minus CapEx. So that's growing even with the capital expenditures. And for argument's sake, I'm saying that cash interest is 2/3 of the total interest. So recall that was shown in Echo 10. You might pull this from the financials. So it's just the product of 2/3 of Echo 10 basically. And then Foxtrot 10, Golf 10, and so forth. You use that formula. Cash taxes, same here. I'm just going to say it's, for argument's sake, it was 2/3 of the total tax expense. And then you have the change in working capital, which is equal to Echo 59 minus Delta 59. And the idea here is that working capital will be shown on the 59th row. We'll get to that. And then you have free cash flow, which is EBITDA minus CapEx. Subtract out cash interest and taxes, since those are cash expenses. It causes cash to flow out. And then you subtract the change in working capital. So since working capital decreased, this actually helped us from a free cash flow perspective in the year 2019 within this model. Then moving on, not a whole lot of M&A activity, but I've just said 2, 3, 4, and 5. Keep in mind, all these numbers are in millions of dollars per cell Bravo 2, so I've listed it in cell Bravo 2. I'm assuming a steady payment of $2 million of dividends to equity holders each year. Then other investing, some years we had that, some we didn't. And you can sum those up to see what the M&A/dividend activity was. Moving on to financing sources and uses, add the debt issuance/repayment, which is taken from the balance sheet. That'll be on row 69. I'll look at the changes in debt. Same with equity. And I'm assuming this company issued debt and equity at the beginning, starting end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And then you'll see later on, I'm assuming these things are unchanged. Let's say there's some other financing. That gets you to the net change in cash for financing. And then you have the change in cash from the cash flow statement. Cash from operations, you get that from the cash flow statement. And I've just said that there's, a difference here from the free cash flow calculation versus this second way of calculating so-called real cash flow. And so that there's different ways to calculate cash flow, and it's good to keep those in mind to see how much cash is actually flowing in or out of the company. Then I have long-term assets, property, plant, and equipment, goodwill, and then the total assets is all of those plus current assets. Tangible assets is just equal to the total minus the intangibles in row 45. Then I have these working capital items, sum those up to get current assets. Accounts payable as well, which is a current liability. You sum these accrued expenses, short-term debt, things like this, sum up to give you the total current liabilities. And you can see the working capital is just current assets minus current liabilities. Then we have something called operating working capital, which is accounts receivable plus inventory minus accounts payable and accrued expenses. For quick ratio, I'm just saying that's equal to the current assets minus current liabilities. Then we have days of inventory, days of sales, and days of payables outstanding. And the cash conversion cycle is equal to DOI plus DSO minus DPO. Finally, you'll see some various debt numbers and as well as equity capital. Then we get into some analysis of liquidity related to cash, the revolving credit line, and so forth. And then various leverage ratios are also calculated. Finally, we look at interest and fixed coverage. So these are various EBITDA and CapEx to interest expense. This company in this hypothetical example has very good coverage ratios, so you would probably feel comfortable from lending more money to it from the perspective of a lender. I do the growth rates as well. And then some traditional margin analysis as a percentage of sales. Sales is in row 3. And then cost analysis as well. And then these things flow into the summary. The company is XYZ company. Let's say the accounting firm was KPMG. XYZ is a distributor of industrial widgets to 25 states. Or to the construction community in 25 states. Let's say you would just take the quarterly MD&A out of the 10Q. And then finally, I have, these summary statistics. These are where the green numbers come in because they're referencing the financials tab, which I just showed you, this previous tab. And then I showed various leverage ratios, interest coverage ratios. There's not too much leverage on the company, and it has good coverage ratios, so you'd probably feel comfortable lending to XYZ in this hypothetical example. So this is what a institutional grade private credit model looks like. Take this knowledge into the marketplace to understand how private credit firms think about credit analysis and some of the metrics they look at. Have a great day. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave a comment below, and please buy my books. The links to those will be in the description of this video.